Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Slow Factory team. Shouts out to everyone who is here from all over the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What a beautiful conversation to have, and what a beautiful time of year to have this conversation and be in community and be in a healing community. So before we get started, I would love for us to just sit comfortably, get your pens, your pencils, your waters, silence your phones, do all the things, scream at the littles and let them know you're kind of engaged, and really do whatever needs to happen in your personal space so that we can just drop in together for the next 43 to 45 minutes. So I'm just going to give folks a chance to do that. And then let us just rub our hands together and then rub them a little bit more and rub them a little bit more and rub them a little bit more. Generate that heat, and then join the pinkies together and just put that right over your face. And breathe that in. Long, deep breaths. And then sweep your hands right beside the temples of the head or by the ears, and just feel the hum and the tingling sensation of your hands. And that subtle, magical energy that we just created with our hands is really what we're going to connect with during this conversation. And before I start, I just want to honor my elders and ancestors by honoring the occupied land that I am on. And as a daughter of the diaspora, it's really, really important for me to honor the land of other elders and ancestors, because it is a way of staying connected and interconnected with my own. So may the earth be shared by all, yeah? All right, so spiritual capacity. Oopsies, yep, is that the next slide? Okay, so in our conversation, we're gonna spend some time talking about spiritual capacity, unpacking it, talking about the coordinates of liberation, right? Giving space for us to kind of think about what freedom, what liberation could be, what could it feel like, and its coordinates, right? Which gives a little bit more expansion in terms of experience as opposed to a place. We're going to spend some time talking about the quality of the breath, the quality of our breathing, and the science behind it, and why it's so important as we move through this incredible time of humanity. And with the science, we're going to go into the 5 bodies, and then we'll fill our time with a guided meditation, just so that we can just, again, connect across time and space and drop in with each other. So, the elders told us that God is change. Octavia Butler is a hero of mine in many, many ways. I was first introduced to Octavia Butler in college. I went to the college bookstore, and her book was there in the end cap. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like, let me read this, let me be up on Black literature. And I get to my apartment and I start reading the book, and I see God is change, and my nervous system started doing all type of things. I was just like, this is foolishness, I'm putting this to the side. And it wasn't even a slow cognitive experience. Looking back, it was really interesting to be introduced to this concept of God being change, and how that in that little moment, it shifted my thinking that maybe God was an experience. And for me, that was huge, because I was raised Black evangelical. And so I was taught to believe in many things being unchanging, specifically the divinity itself, or herself, right? Or themselves, whatever pronouns we use, that feels loving and kind. So not only was I raised to believe and taught that God was unchanging, but I didn't even understand that spirituality could actually be an experience that was my own and individual and expansive and joyful. So I lean into the wisdom of Octavia Butler that God is change, and it's magic. Every nature, every modeled form, every creature exists and with each other, from the Gospel of Mary to. So had I known that Mary Magdalene wrote a fucking gospel, I would have been a better bitch as a little girl. I promise you that had I been empowered, I would have been so fucking emboldened to know that this goddess, Jesus' homegirl, had a fucking gospel. That shit right there blew my mind. And I remember the first time that I was presented with the information about Mary Magdalene. My best friend at the time was in seminary. And when you're in community, whatever one person is going through in the community, everybody's going through it, right? So my best friend was in seminary. So that meant I was in seminary. And so I was reading her syllabi and, reading her books and my mind was just blown. Now I'm also a preacher's kid, right? So you can imagine my frustration when I went back to my father and I was like, excuse me, daddy, did you know about this? And it was an interesting conversation because he did this circular thing, and my father is one of the ancestors now. So I'm grateful to be able to share him with you through storytelling. And he did this little circular thing that, parents and elders and ancestors do when you catch them in some bullshit. And he said what he said, and I wasn't really processing anything that he was saying. And I just remember at the end of his diatribe saying, Daddy, you can't lie about shit like this. And I didn't understand, I didn't have the language at that time to realize how powerful and profound the voices of women were in storytelling and spirituality, and the way I identify with my femininity and my own sense of agency in spiritual spaces. So those experiences really framed and laid a foundation, for my work and ultimately our talk together. So that being said, a little bit about me. I am a first generation goddess. Both my parents are from the beautiful, luxurious, and warm island of Jamaica. So those of us that are in the Northeast right now, so look a brick out here in these streets. And my name is Syntyché. It's biblical, which I think is fucking ironic that I had a biblical name and I'm doing this work. That to me is just like the dopest magical experience ever. Definitely evidence of things coming full circle. So my name is in the book of Philippians, but not really, right? Because there's an accent on my E, right? So even as a young girl, I was introduced to the way things were and the way I wanted things to be, and always felt that there was conflict, always felt like things were just not so. And I remember feeling frustrated all the time. This picture, however, was one of the events. It was a birthday party of a friend in school. And I remember taking up space and I remember being in joy. And that is what our time together is really going to be about at its essence. We're going to take up space together, be in healing community, and be in joy. So let us take a moment to just pause here for a moment and breathe. And if there are any questions, comments, or concerns in the chat, please, 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 please share. And I invite the Slow Factory team, you see a powerful question or something that I need to notice, stop me. I want us to do a little movement to move some of the stagnant energy around, so that we can kind of connect together energetically across time and space. And we're going to do this for about 4 minutes. So we're just going to, You're going to curl your forefingers in and draw the thumb in, or you can curl the thumb in and bring the fingers over them, whatever is available and feels good for you. And we're going to do these beautiful, gentle strokes along the torso of the body. And you're going to flip it and flip the arms, and we're going to have fun with it, and you're going to laugh, and we're going to move some of that stagnant energy and then ground in a meditation. Hold on, got to get the song right. Does everybody hear that? All right, so let's just start here and work your way down. Get sexy with it. Good. Get the lymphatic system right here. Side body. Get your thighs. Turn off your camera if you need to. Get those arms. Good. So keep the right hand by the left shoulder, and now take your left hand and bring it behind you and get that right kidney. And if it's available for you to do it with 2 hands, 1 hand, whatever is working. Flip it if you can. Whoops. Keep going. Keep it going.
Syntyché, I'm just stopping here. Some people are not seeing, so if you want to stand up and just show us very quickly, so what it would look like.
How's that? Y'all see my little sexy outfit. You're welcome. Keep it going. And pause. Now you can do the dishes. Hey. And just pause for a moment and just feel that shift in your energy. Just be still for a moment and just notice how just that gentle pressure on the chest and the heart and the side of the body just created that soft shift. Nice work. Nice work. So, what are freedom feelings? If joy is the anchor, take a moment to write in the chat, what are freedom feelings? Don't think about it too much. Just kind of just let some of the thoughts come out. Truth. Thank you, Megan. Love, relief, connection, agency, liberation, alignment. I love it. Acceptance, humor, ease, safety, keep it coming, fresh air. I know that's right. Bliss, being seen, authenticity, authentic, understanding, sleep. Yes, choices, no pain, release, rest. Yes. And these are our prayers. This is what we're calling in. By being in this space, just in this moment, we are praying and we are activating that action of grace and joy, strength, move it, keep it coming. Yes to authenticity. Somebody said yes, that's an amen. Aww. Okay, I love it. So hold on to those freedom feelings and anchor those freedom feelings in joy. And let's really get to the nuts and bolts of our time together here today. So spiritual capacity is really a way to measure, move, and accept revolutionary and often intense change we find ourselves in. Breathing, come on, yes. And it's really, really important in my work, especially at this time with COVID, the new world that the COVID experience has created, to really pause to kind of talk about what we're experiencing and really give presence to the amount of social, emotional, physical, and spiritual change that we've all been experiencing. It's really, really incredible. It's really, really incredible, and it's really, really incredible, incredibly profound. And we're going to talk about why, and I don't know, you could tell me if anybody has ever felt like disoriented in the last 2 years, right? Just feeling like the fuck, right? That fog of the fuck, and really like feeling like what is happening. You could totally relate to that, right? So we're going to talk about what's happening in our physical body and in our emotional body, and why it feels that way. And not only is it something that we can use to measure, right? It's also about moving into awareness. It's also about recognizing that the science, right, the teachings that we have of our understanding of trauma, we're all really fucking tender. We're all really, really tender. And what a powerful invitation, a universal invitation, a community invitation, if we start with the acknowledgement that the tender parts of ourselves are with us every day. And those tender parts of us are the entry points, are the portals that we can connect to, where we can draw from to deepen our awareness and our capacity to be free and be conscious human beings in all parts of ourselves. So the invitation is to think about spiritual capacity as a wide cauldron of possibility. It's the what we don't know, and that is treasure, right? And that is treasure. So we are not hardwired for this shit. We are hardwired species. We are a hardwired species. We are a hardwired species. I know that I too have some human hubris about some of the shit I can do. And I honor that. And I also honor that my mobile phone that gives me access to the entire world doesn't really give me access to the entire world. There's so much we don't know. And the technology of our humanity is way slower if we're using time, right? In context of measuring at this point, is so much slower than the way in which we're moving. And the constant inundation of information that has to be processed, right? Because there's a cognitive experience that happens when we see something, right? That constant inundation is really, really like a lot. And it's a lot in a really profound way. And we're going to talk about how to create some shifts so that we can feel more expansion, so that that thing in our throat before we get the Zoom link, that tightness and that constriction we experience, maybe some of us every day, or every time we have to go to the office, or every time we look at a phone for a text message. I'm going to really talk about ways to notice it, to observe it, to see what's happening, and then to shift it. Okay, any questions up until this point? Okay, fantastic. If we follow the wisdom of spirit, supported by science, we'll see what we get, right? See what the treasure is. I suspect, and I'm sharing this suspicion from my lived experience, that when we lean in to the invitation in this moment in time and space that seems very chaotic, if we lean into that, there's some wisdom and nuggets that will be transformative. So let me get to the part that I love and get to the science. So let's look at and think about the human body as 5 bodies, right? There are 5 bodies that make us human. There's and this is a broad brush oversimplification, but go with me here for a second. You have the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, and the pranic body. The pranic body is what I'm going to call the soul in this, for this conversation, the internal energy, the Holy Spirit, chi, where Reiki energy is where the Reiki energy is that we connect to for those of us that practice Reiki, right? Like that thing that makes you shudder sometimes, or that energy that runs through you in the form of a chill. That's all coming from the center of the body. When we are stressed out, all 5 of these bodies are experiencing the stress. The challenge with chronic trauma is that all of these bodies are under constant duress all the time, and they all have a frequency, and they all emit energy. when we're experiencing anxiety, when we're experiencing depression, right? Whether it's depressive feelings or clinical depression, right? However you're defining it in whatever spaces you're in, this organization of energy is what's contributing to those experiences, right? So when we come together, when we're in space, when we're in alignment, there is unity and consistency in all those bodies. What does that mean? Simply, your physical body want the same thing, your mental body want the same thing, your emotional body want the same thing, your spiritual body want the same thing, and your pranic body want the same thing. When all of these bodies want the same thing, you feel like you're in your right mind. We feel like we're in our right mind. And there's this powerful alignment, right? Like you're walking down the street and you see the person that you were thinking of. It's like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. And then you walk to the store and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I got the last thing, or whatever it is, right? Those beautiful synchronicities happen. The many ways that they happen energetically, this is one way, right? Happen when all of that is in alignment. What the fuck does this have to do with chronic stress? Well, the frontal cortex right up here is the one that gives us all the information for everything else. So this frontal cortex right here swims in stress hormones when we're under constant stress. And when it's under constant stress, it can't make organized decisions because all the wiring is fucked up. So we're not crazy. We're not bugging. Our systems are constantly being inundated by energy and stress. Now, what's really, really powerful about this, and I was thinking about this morning, Celine, is when we talk about pollution, and when we talk about our environment and taking care of Earth Mother, the energy of the waste, right? That the density of the indifference with which we interact with this nourishing planet, we feel that shit. Whether we're aware of it or not, the mental body notices it, the emotional body notices it, the spiritual body notices it, and the pranic body notices it, right? And they're not linear experiences. As when we look at the other imagery, there's that constant spiral. Well, why does it matter? So what? When we slow down, when we take a beat, and we rub our hands together and just feel the energy of our own hands, everything settles. Everything becomes softer. Everything starts to try to recalibrate and harmonize itself. So that is our 5 bodies. Resmaa Menakem, an incredible teacher and healer, wrote the book, My Grandmother's Hands. I would invite everyone to get it if you haven't already. And in his work, he says, when people experience trauma or high levels of stress for long stretches of time, a variety of stress hormones get secreted into the bloodstream. In the short term, the purpose of these chemicals is to protect the body. But when the levels of these chemicals remain high over time, they can have toxic effects, making a person less healthy, less resilient, and more prone to illness. High levels of one or more of these chemicals can also crowd healthier chemicals that encourage trust, intimacy, motivation, and meaning. In addition, our bodies are so dope. Like the human body is just fucking magic because it always up the ante, right? So when we talk about stress and hormones, the body's now is like addicted, right? Like, so now I need a little bit more cortisol than I did yesterday because now Mercury's in retrograde. And now I need a little bit more stress hormone than I did 2 days ago because now I'm traveling. And it's just compounded and compounded and compounded with no space to process. And if the mental body and physical body and emotional body can't process it, it interferes with the entire circuitry of what makes us human. And that's really, really important when we're doing the work of healing and moving forward. If we're constantly swimming in stress, how can we be in our freedom feelings? How can we ground in the possibility of the possibility? So, questions, comments, concerns about that? I would love to hear what's going on in the chat. No, somebody. So, any questions in the chat? Okay, guys, thank you so much. Okay, so somebody got through with connection. Okay. Any questions or comments in the chat? Can anybody relate? Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. So relatable. Okay, perfect. So, absolutely, unfortunately, LOL. You know, it felt unfortunate in the beginning. You know, I have to say, one of the beautiful gifts that COVID gave to me was the time to slow down, was the time to recognize what would happen if I could experience this wholeness. And there was a moment in March, the beginning of COVID, where I didn't have anything to worry about. You know, it and it wasn't any less scary, right? Like, it was in the beginning. We didn't know what we didn't know. It was just the fuck, right? About 2 weeks in, after everybody, I realized, okay, I'm going to be on the phone for a long time with unemployment, and knew that there were systems being created to support my survival. Once I knew that, there was a moment for the first time in my life where I had nothing to worry about. And it was really, really interesting. And basic shit, like, I knew my light wasn't gonna get cut off. You know, I knew the water was gonna still run, like the things that are just basic. And I had all this space, and I had never experienced it before. And it was like I was that little girl at the birthday party, that slide that I showed you at the beginning. And it was so interesting because I was experiencing this profound, expansive moment, while also feeling very much constricted energetically, right, by the unknown that the COVID and all of what it was going to bring. And so the invitation or the practice of deepening our spiritual capacity is slowing down the wheels outside of ourselves, right? Because the pranic body on the inside, that's the eye of the storm, right? It's where the good shit is, right? Is creating space to slow that stuff outside of us down so we can really tap into and connect with what's inside. I keep thinking about freedom being anchored in joy. I've been needing to hear that. Ah, Ashe. I love that. So let us go to our guided meditation, and then we'll open it up to Q&A, because I really, really want to hear thoughts and feedback. Low battery. Lovely. All right. So if everybody could just come to a comfortable seat. Spine is nice and long, and you're comfortable. And you're comfortable. Maybe your feet are on the floor. Maybe you're sitting crisscross applesauce. Maybe you can sit on the floor, even though you are in a chair. Whatever feels good, just settle in. And we're gonna go on a little joyful journey. And on this joyful journey, I invite you to do a couple of things. You can gaze at the candlelight on the screen. You can have a soft gaze onto the floor. You can close your eyes. The invitation is to just be in your body with your breath in this moment. So as you settle in to stillness, become aware of the sounds outside of the room that you're in. Maybe you're hearing city noises or construction, traffic, or maybe there's just the natural hum of your community. Just notice the sounds outside of the room that you're in. And as you exhale, come a little bit deeper inside and notice the sounds and the vibrations of the space that you're in. Is there a fan on? Is the refrigerator humming? Are there birds chirping? Maybe you feel the warm breeze coming through. Just notice. Notice any resistance you have in this moment. Just notice. Breathe that in deeply. And breathe that deeply in again. And as you draw the breath in through your nostrils, I would love for you to think about drawing the breath into the center part of you, the you that is you, that inner circle. And then take another deep breath and begin to nourish the spirit of you that is you. Deepening the breath again, allow that breath to nourish the parts of you that are emotional, that emote. Take another deep breath and bring awareness of life to your mind. We beat it up sometimes about it doing too much, but it's done some good shit. Take another breath and just let that breath wash over your body. Let's take a journey up a magical treehouse. And it's at the right level for you to see the panoramic view of your own life, of your own beingness, of your own lived experience. And as you elevate to this treehouse, be it by flying on your magic wings, your magical cape, the elevator, the escalator, whether you hop, however you get there, just get there. And now settle into this magical treehouse that has all the artifacts that make you feel nurtured. It has all the artifacts that remind you to smile and giggle and play. And you see a book right in the corner that reads, "Playing is praying." And you look again and it says, "Playing is praying." And you laugh. And you look around in your magical treehouse and you realize that what is surrounding you are artifacts of joy. And as you exhale, you lay down on the magical carpet and you feel your body absorb the energy like a sponge of those artifacts. And as you breathe in deeply, the energy of those artifacts start to become absorbed in your body as nourishing healing oil. And you intuitively know that you are absorbing the energy and power of the form you have given liberation and freedom. Feel it in your body. What space does it create? What images do you see? Are you sitting in circle? Are the elders there? Are the ancestors rejoicing with you? Breathe that in. And just allow whatever images to come in your mind's eye, just come and go. Breathing deeply. Breathing deeply. Feel your chest rise and your belly rise. And feel your belly button go all the way to your low spine as you exhale. Feel your chest rise and elevate high. And then feel your belly button go all the way to your spine as you exhale. Squeeze the breath out. And as you draw the breath in one more time, the you that is you. What is your freedom feeling in this moment? Feel it in your body. And as you lay there in your mind's eye, you know now that all the laws have been changed. Everything we've ever waited for, wanted out of revolution has just manifest in this magical, amazing treehouse. And you see yourself planning celebration, calling all the freedom fighters. We did it. We're fucking done. It is so. And you party and you celebrate and you see it from your treehouse. You see the joy and laughter and tears of joy. You see the glimmer of the elders and ancestors in the faces of the young ones. And you take a breath and you choose to live. Being in the space, the knowedness. Now that I know of my freedom, how can I cultivate those feelings? Breathe that in. And as you draw the breath in, know that your community is with you in this moment in time and space. And slowly wiggle your toes. Make your way down in your mind's eye out of the imaginary treehouse and come back into your body in this moment in time and space. And just take a moment to share in the comments, to journal. Maybe an image came up. Let's process it together as a community. Thank you so much, beloveds. So let us connect. You feel nourished, Ashe. I'm gonna thank you. So thinking about, and I wanted those questions were incredible. So I'm definitely gonna go to those. Thinking about the dwelling space of freedom, does it have a dwelling space? And that question came about in just kind of thinking about coordinates, right? Like freedom for me doesn't feel like it belongs in a corner or a drawer, or, it's a legislation that passes, right? It's this larger, expansive way of being. And as freedom fighters in our own way, how can we be in freedom as we do the work, this powerful revolutionary work? That both are true, right? Because in deepening our spiritual capacity, it allows us to be able to have that spiritual container and practices to hold freedom, right? How do we function in a society that's free? We've never done that shit before. It's a tall fucking order, right? So just the beauty of being in community space and healing to try to lean into and feel into what that is like. And turning the wheel slowly allows us to see the spokes. There's so much perspective There's so much that we don't know. There's so much that we don't see. And the reframing is leaning into it without the fear that even though I don't know this thing, that whatever the fuck it is, it's going to hurt me. Right. And that's the universe is not an asshole. Right. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not going to fuck me up. Right. And when we talk about generational trauma and what we experience as the daughter of the diaspora, I had to learn and remember that my relationship with the unknown was rooted in enslavement and colonization. So fucking surprises, my nervous system don't like that shit. Do you know what I mean? So part of the gift of being able to slow down was leaning into that. And, you know, in 2016, when I got diagnosed with PTSD, I thought, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. But I realized now that it was an invitation, the beginning of a real, like, neon sign invitation from the universe to calm down, come back to myself, connect with the me that is me, and come back into all the bodies that make me human. And so that is really, really some juicy nuggets of spiritual capacity. And for Slow Factory, Addison, the experience therapy has really helped me get through it 100%. And just in terms of offerings, if anybody wants to go deeper and do this work, they can use the discount code spiritual capacity. Just hop on to syntyché.com, sign up for the mailing list, and we'll get that information out to you this weekend for certain. So I'm gonna stop the share and go to the Q&A. I'll leave that up. Celine, do you see the questions? Are you okay with me reading them, my love?
Yes, definitely. And just
okay, perfect.
Wanted to share that, you know, personally, I've worked with Syntyché because, as I said, running this organization takes a lot on my spiritual, physical, mental health, everything. And at times I fall, and I fall only when I have so much that I didn't even realize that I was expanding so much to hold. And I'm trying not to, you know, wait till I have to fall on my knees to heal. So part of this work is also to pacing ourselves and knowing how to work from a place of comfort and abundance and love. And even recently, you know, we are working really, really hard on building the school for collective liberation. And doing this work, there's a lot of stress because we have to fundraise and reach large amounts of money that we've never really raised before. So right now we have to raise about 3 million a year to sustain the school. And we have to show that we have about 500,000 in our account to continue the build of the school. And those amounts, you know, scared me a lot because personally, I wasn't ready to, I guess, talk about money because we don't talk about money as the global majority. And I don't think that we know how to manage and talk about that stuff. So in that, I was texting you and you were like, you need to be able to rest and trust that it's coming, because if you are going to just keep on going from a place of fear and anxiety, it's just going to delay it. So in that, you know, your support has been so tremendous throughout all of the work that I've been doing. And, you know, I'm so grateful for you, Synty, and I love you. And on that note,
well, I just want to say if to just that was so powerful, and thank you so much for sharing. And the energetic power that when my faith is met with your unbelief, because I really believe that it can happen, that energy is in your space, in your auric field. And that's why being in community and healing community is so powerful, because we literally energetically level each other up in an interdependent way, right? And not a codependent way where we drain each other's energy. But my faith knocks your unbelief right out the fucking park. And you do the same shit for me all the time. And that's how we continue to just cultivate that capacity to be able to do this work with grace and ease. Somebody wrote, would you say that the 5 bodies are like different versions of ourselves? Alyssa Perez. What feels true today, Alyssa, is just the word different. I would love to sit with a little bit. I would say only because I struggle with othering. I struggle with othering because it's still a part of the whole. So it is the 5 bodies make us human. It's all of it. You know, it's kind of like when we eat food, right? Like all, you know, we want the nutrients from food. You know, you can't just have protein. You can't just, you know, what makes the beautiful balanced culinary experience, if we have food that's available to us, is the package, is the holistic experience. So I wouldn't say different versions of ourselves. I would say what feels true in my body is that the 5 bodies are essences of who we are. And in exploring that gives us a deeper understanding of the levels themselves, right? So when I learn my body more, I have a deeper connection with my intuition, my spirit self. When I spend time in meditation and my mind is allowed to rest, then I breathe differently. So I have a different relationship with my actual breath. So I hope that was helpful. And yeah, Alyssa, I would love to hear your feedback on that. Carol wrote, you talked about being able to center and focus on the things, places that felt safe to start with there. You used your personal experience as an example when COVID first started. As an illegal immigrant in this country, there is no security, not just for immigrants, but many people lost in their parental figures. And I have to build back, start from zero. Where can we begin to center or hold on to when we feel like we have nothing? Ooh. So let's just take a deep breath together there, because that was just a beautiful question. And thank you, Carol, for your transparency and your vulnerability. So I'm gonna hit all the points. As an illegal immigrant in this country, there are millions with no security. Security in this context isn't security in terms of safety. Our trauma response often inspires us to think about safety in response to danger. And we think of liberation or freedom in response to bondage. The invitation with spiritual capacity is really to start to imagine the unimaginable. You're absolutely right. What do we do when we feel like we have nothing? That's a brilliant question. Let's talk about it, right? Spiritual capacity is the inquiry, because we don't have the answers. We've never been here before. And I think as a collective, that is an invitation for us to be in community with you, Carol, and help and hold space for you as we make those inquiries. It's not a dismissive, I can't answer you. It's I don't know what your soul or your spirit needs. Let's help you create that space so you can answer that question, because you have full, complete sovereignty over the way in which we have full sovereignty over our breath, over the experiences that we can control. And when we can create space for ourselves to be in those spaces, then we can start to intuitively know what and how we can start to be in space where we're free and nourished all the time. I hope that was helpful. Even while slowing down, de-stressing, Sophie writes, there is stress due to lack of connection. There is stress due to lack of connection and novelty. I feel aged, empty, numb. How do we get into right alignment while the world still feels shut down and we're still disconnected? What do we do when slowing down isn't enough? Hmm. 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 So let's go line by line. I feel aged, empty, and numb. I cannot tell you, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. And the reality is, sis, Sophie, I don't know the answers to your question. What I do know is that if we can be in practice every day to be in our bodies, the answers that are medicine for you will come from you, through you. The amount of stress that we've been under has really challenged also the way we look at wellness, right? Like, I know I had a lot of profound rage and frustration at leadership and experts because they weren't leading and they weren't experts. And I was like, the fuck, right? And I realized that part of that, part of why that was uncomfortable for me was that I really had an expectation that somebody was going to help and somebody was going to save us. And the reality is that that's part of spiritual capacity, right? Like, we really don't fucking know. And the universe isn't an asshole. And while it might be profoundly scary, our human experience is grounded in this constant unknowingness that we choose to ignore or have chosen to ignore because we keep fucking going. We keep giving ourselves information and not time to process it. So to the share about feeling aged and empty and numb, Sophie, I would encourage you to work in a healing community where you can be moving your body, where you can share and start to put sound to what you're feeling, right? Like, so that tapping that we did here, right? So EFT is a practice that also works to relieve and stress energies out the body. I would do this, Sophie, and start to hum and do it with music, and maybe start your own healing circles with your community and start to tap the body and hum. Because what will start to happen energetically, you're activating the vagus nerve, you're activating the pituitary gland, you're moving by doing this striking, you're moving energy and helping to just shift your body. And it's a start, because once you can feel your toes, then that's the invitation to feel your feet. And once you can feel your feet, you think maybe you can take a step. And once you feel right. And so I would start with just feeling my body, turning on the water when you wash your hands. Do you feel that the water is warm? Do you feel the bubbles of soap that are on your skin when you come out? When you dry yourself, are you aware of the water and the wetness on your skin? Really coming back to basic connections with the body, because with this long-standing trauma, we've all disassociated. We've all checked the fuck out because it's just too fucking much. The other thing that's really great is like shaking the hands like this. And if we want, we can kind of all do this. You could just shake your hands just like this. Just shake, 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 shake. Shake your body, shake, 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 shake. Have fun with it. If you have littles, this is amazing, right? And then just be still. That shift, we can cultivate that. And so I would invite you to practice that and reach out to me. We can definitely work together to kind of deepen that for you. How do we get from alignment while we still feel shut down and still disconnected? Coming back to the body, coming back to the body, coming back to the body. What do we do when slowing down isn't enough? Be in community. The isolation, be in community, be an interdependent community is a way to start. It's not prescriptive, but it's certainly a way to start. And I would definitely love to talk to you offline if you need additional support in that way. Sophie, last couple of questions. Slow down to recalibrate and harmonize. What are some ways in which we can slow down? Say fucking no. right? How do you feel? What does your work week look like? And I know, I used to hold the story, well, I'm a Black woman in America, I can't do that. Lies. I have to work 5 days a week. No, you don't. I need to do this. The fuck you do. Who else is gonna do it but me? Somebody will if you die. Like, you know, right? Like it's really a cultural choosing, because we are really the only prescriptors of our own health. We are really the only prescriptors of our own wellness, and the work ahead to create this free world in which the earth can be shared by all will require us to be creative and rested, and not react to freedom, but create it from the anchor of joy. Um, I'm often feeling overwhelmed by the time there is no time to process. How do you stay committed to the practice of rest and processing, especially when it's hard? Keep moving the body, whether it's with yoga, which is my particularly favorite practice, because there's so many modalities of that movement experience. Dancing, connect with your ancestral dances if you can do that, if you know your ancestral history. Learn the dances of your own tribes people. That will have an energetic impact on your body on a real cellular level, right? Because our cells have memory, right? So when I hear an African rhythm, all of a sudden I start do this shit, and I'm like, where the hell this shit came from? I have no fucking idea. It's in me, and there's a freedom that arises out of that. Spend some time with food that is your cultural food that nourishes you, even if you don't know how to cook that shit. Cook it anyway and start to smell the smells if you still have the sense of smell, right? But really start to have textured experiences of being in our body, right? If you put on a soft scarf, feel it throughout the day. If you put lotion on your hand, really spend some time with knowing what you're doing and how that's shifting your energy. I mean, it sounds like little things, but little things are everything. Like, what else is there but not like little things, right? And I'm 5'11", so I fucking like little things. I'm 5 foot, actually. 5'11" would be amazing. Okay. Any advice on how to align our different bodies when things feel out of whack? Breathe, keep moving the body, keep moving the body. I can't stress it enough. Go for a walk, be in the sun, smell the fresh air. One of the things that I learned with COVID when I had it the first time, it was winter, so the house was cold and dry. And Celine, I intuitively knew I needed to breathe in outside air. I don't even know why. So literally, I'm in the shower, right? And like, I'm feeling the feels, and I'm like, what do I do, right? And I popped open the window, wet now, mind you, out of the shower, and I just took the deepest breath. And in that moment, I knew it wasn't about COVID lungs or any of those things. I hadn't taken a deep breath in days. And just letting the breath wash over my body, it's like, it was that feeling, when the ice cracks, when you have the ice tray and you jump the ice and everything kind of opens up. I literally felt that in my energetic body. And then I was able to experience some physical shifts. So something I was talking about to a therapist this morning, being with my fear instead of pushing it away when it becomes compressed or paralyzing into anxiety, 100%. And Ben, the thing with us about being in our fear is having the time to do it, right? When we want to do that inner healing work and it's like, well, shit, I got a 9 o'clock meeting, then healing takes the back burner. And it can't take the back burner anymore. At least that's the choice I'm making. So I celebrate those of us that are on that journey. The fears and trauma are very real. They deserve to be respected and given body. Absolutely. When you said, if we're constantly living in stress, how can we ground? How can we live in the possibility of possibility? That resonated so deeply. I struggle immensely with the fears of trauma, and I'm curious about how you present with your fear and trauma. That's a really good question. I think for me right now, I just have decided not to try to separate myself from it. Like recognizing that I am the essence of yin and yang. I am lightness and there's a density to me, right? Going back to that spiral, right? Like my humanity is my divinity, and my divinity is my humanity. And the dense parts of myself that may look like depression, the dense parts of myself that manifested as PTSD, the dense part of myself that, you know, was emotionally dysregulated, is not separate from the parts of me when I say some dope shit and I come up with concepts like spiritual capacity. Like, that's fucking amazing, right? Like, both are true. And what's been real good medicine for me is to just fucking being this complex, sexy, insecure, articulate, sometimes can't find a word, mashup time all the time kind of thing. Like, just being that, because that's fucking magic. And when I get in my head, I say that shit out loud in my community, and my community gives me a nice bitch slap lick. Get out your head. You're a fucking goddess. Let's take 3 breaths. Let's move. Call your therapist. Call your healer. Take a nap, bitch. Rinse, repeat. So yeah, 100%. How do we deal with procrastination? Ha! I've been meditating and feeling like something's missing. By the way, thanks for this amazing session. You know, I don't know how to deal with procrastination. I'm going to tell you a quick story about my relationship with procrastination. For me, I realized for me that procrastination allowed me to always be in worry. And even when I was preparing for our time together, I started to see that behavior again. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. I couldn't sleep. I was so excited and so nervous at the same time. And I was like, I just need to do a couple of things. And I'm literally lying in the bed thinking about the fucking things instead of getting up out the bed, doing the things. Because doing the thing would take 1 hour and then I could sleep. And I stayed in that space of limbo for like 2 hours. It was so weird. And then I was like, why am I doing this to myself? And I realized that those little behaviors are ways in which I give myself the energetic hit of that stress hormone to stay in that fucking place. And my relationship with procrastination was really just me staying in the fucking rat race. And when I'm aware of it, I then do the fucking thing. And then if I don't want to do it, I sit with why I don't want to fucking do it. And then I say no to the thing that I said I was going to do. And then I get rid of it. Like, I can't sit with that shit because it's fucking stressful. And it just sits there like a pimple you can't pop, you know? It's just too much. So I would say have a relationship with your procrastination and see what it inspires, right? Does it inspire you to be more creative? Does it inspire you to work quicker? Does it inspire you to avoid? Like, be in relationship with that shit. And then when you want to break up with it, you fucking break up with it. Does grounding yourself get easier with time? Girl, no. No, it doesn't get easier. It gets juicier. It gets sexier. It gets more playful. But I don't know about easy, because the deeper I go into myself, the more intricate and couture I see myself. And it's like, ooh la la, ooh la la. So easier, I don't know, but funner, 100%. And it's fucking magic when you do it in community. How do you go about feeling alignment in your physical body when you have a disability such as chronic pain? Dope question. Thank you, Helen. Invite other senses in. This is where plant medicines are really, really helpful. This is where soft touching things are helpful. This is where connecting with, if you can see color, really thinking about, okay, this is a sensory experience that I'm having that's pulling me out of my body in a way that's jarring, right? Like, or maybe not, right? So chronic pain is jarring, it's disorienting, it's always there, right? And it's fucking disrespectful in a way, right? Because you're supposed to go on with your life and act like this shit's not there, and it's fucking right there, right? Like, how do you manifest beyond what you're experiencing? That's some crazy shit, right? So there's oh my God, look at the pain, see what it is, see what you're manifesting. There's that, right? And also, where is there space here? Can I smell my lotion? Can I smell my lavender? Can I feel the earth of the plant that I'm watering? And really inviting yourself to find joy in the experiences where there's less pain, right? And see how that energy of less pain pulls you into a different experience. I don't know if I hope that was helpful. What could be some examples for processing or enhancing each of the 5 bodies? Keep breathing deeply. The breath is fucking magic. Like, our breath is magic. It goes it's like, I don't even understand, like, it's fucking magic. Like, it connects all 5 bodies. I mean, everything's better after a deep breath, dear God, right? So keep breathing. And I would invite us to even challenge our understanding of alignment in terms of 1, 2, 3, and use the litmus test of the body, right? So how do you feel? Do you feel expansion in your chest? Do you feel you can take a deep breath? When that is present for me, that's when I know I'm in alignment. Less about, the phone call that matched up to the thought, but really, like, when I think about going to that party, I take a deep breath and it feels good. When I think about, making that phone call or being in that meeting, my body feels soft. Those are the ways that we can kind of come back, and reclaim our sovereignty and agency, and really let liberation be in motion, right? And then when it's in motion and we're in space where it's in motion, then it just continues to beget itself, if that makes sense. All right. I think that living in a country that doesn't provide healthcare is a specific kind of trauma that needs to be healed. Word. My goodness, just sending blessings. Snap, snap, snaps on poetic jewels. Ashe, ashe. While we are doing the work of deepening, how do we block out others who drag us down? Well, I would just ask, what's down there? What's down there? Do you want to know what's down there? No. The imagery of being dragged somewhere feels like it's not a choice. And that feels like an invitation to say, or come back and say, what do I want in this moment? What is the invitation in this moment? And then make a decision, right? Not making a decision is making a decision. Right. And I know, talk about procrastination is like, I was the wait and see bitch. Let me sit with it, and I'll be like 6 months later, and it's like, oh, well, but really not, for me, it was not doing the work of really grounding into what does my body need? What does my spirit need? What does my soul need in this moment in time and space? And when I'm able to make space to do that, then I'm not being dragged anywhere. Nobody's doing anything to me. I'm taking full responsibility over my life, over my choices, living on purpose, and making choices every day. So I think the invitation would be to come back to center in community, in whatever way that looks like. Maybe you take a walk, maybe you run in place for 5 minutes, which is magic. Whatever it is that you do, but really the invitation is to come back to ourselves and figure that out. And I also want to add, Carolina, and thank you for asking that question, is what if, like, I've been in situations and recently where I've made a choice and I'm like, oh, fuck. I thought this was going to work for me. And I realized, nah. And that's part of our healing, right? Is the recalibration, is the acknowledgement that this was fine on today. It's now a new moment and I need to shift, and giving ourselves permission to do that without beating ourselves up like, oh my God, I should have been here before. Oh my God, why didn't I notice? Fuck out of here. The universe doesn't do reruns. This is all some new shit. We've never been here before. We're good, right? And giving ourselves permission to do that. And again, being an interdependent community where those shifts are happening, because we're learning. We've never done this before. We've never done this before. Nobody knows what the fuck is happening. It's amazing. And it's beautiful. And I love it. I love being alive right now. Okay. The universe is not an asshole. Word. Does that mean the universe just is the neutrality that makes the unknown feel more about balance and alignment? Great question. And thought. In this context, when I say the universe is not an asshole, it's more about the emotional expectation that because I don't know what's happening and because I can't control what's happening, therefore it's bad. And so now I'm already defended, and I haven't even leaned into and experienced in my other bodies what this moment is. So my physical body is giving me one thing, my mental body has one story, my emotional body is doing something else, right? My spirit is feeling something else. And I'm like, right? So when I say the universe is not an asshole, it's really provocative on purpose, 100%. But it's more so an invitation to recognize that the universe, as we understand it, isn't this transactional entity that, you know, if I do this, then this happens. It is a reciprocity, but it's certainly not someone or something coming out to get us. Like, we're dope and we're magical, but we ain't that fucking interesting. And that really came out of the unlearning that I had to do being raised as a Black evangelical, and really internalizing that if it feels bad, then I've done something bad and therefore it's wrong, right? And the way in which I internalize those emotions of constantly feeling like I was wrong, constantly feeling like I was in the wrong space, constantly feeling like nothing I did would work on a real spiritual level, right? Like, if you can't be good enough for God, then who the fuck could you be good enough for? And really working through some of those feelings in my young adult life while working through other traumatic experiences, right? So when you think about compounded trauma and complex trauma, like, all of these things are happening all at once. And it's really, really incredible. The human experience is just incredible to me. Sometimes it feels like I feel like slowing down demands a sort of denial, which generates more anxiety. Ooh, for example, as it relates to environmental justice, the disconnection in us and the people around us is real, all the while knowing it's important to know not to be hard on ourselves, nag people into changing things. But then wait, how do we navigate the feelings of urgency? Ashe. Ooh. Mm. Mm. So there's two things there, right? There's the feeling of urgency, right? There's that energetic feeling of urgency. Then there's that energetic feeling of movement, right? And when we go back to the imagery of the 5 bodies, those 5 circles, that's such a powerful question. The center, that pranic body, is where the stillness is. And so when we talk about urgency, because the center of ourself is beyond time, there's still a stillness there, right? So infinite intelligence, divine mind, spirit, energy, it's all raw, right? It's not confined to this clock that we understand, this construct of time. And that's just really the end all and be all of it. And when there is alignment of all community energies, that's when you see those exponential shifts. And what I'm learning is that it's also the energetic expression of the action, right? So it's the energy of the community organizing that rallies the community, right? And so you might not necessarily see it when you have the meeting on Thursday. You might not necessarily see it when you have the conferences, wherever you have them. But there's that undercurrent. You feel the acuity level. You feel the energy, the stirring. And that's where change and shift happens, right? And I know from my lived experience, I want shit to happen yesterday because I got some shit I gotta fucking do, and all of these things. And our anxieties, at least my anxiety, was rooted and I wanted an outcome. Like I put the shit on the diary, like, bitch, let's be free by the 31st. Can we do that? You know what I mean? And it was me making things happen. It was me trying. And our lived experience and our freedom is our choices. That is the practice and the rehearsal of being free persons. And so I just fucking love that share. And the part about slowing down and denial, whew, I'm gonna have to sit with that. Because denial feels like not acknowledging. And the rest and the slowing down that I'm talking about is about an honoring. And it starts with an honoring of ourselves. So I'm not denying that these motherfuckers in my house need to eat. I'm just not doing that shit. Not cooking, right? So the denial, it's not a denial. It's also an invitation to create more community and express what your need is, right? So the invitation is I can't do this thing. How can I get support? What do you need? How can I help you? Right? How can I work with you to get you where it is that you feel you need to go? And so I wonder if we can kind of reframe denial and use it as an invitation to be in an interdependent community, right? Because community is the new currency. No one is coming to fucking save us. Like, they're not coming. I don't even know who they are, but no one is coming, and it's dope. No one needs to come because we can do this. We can do this. We can do this together as a community. We totally fucking can. The world can be shared by all, and I feel its magic. I feel the magic of that potentiality when our children see that we did leave the world better than we found it.
Thank you
So,
so much, Syntyché. I feel like I don't want to interrupt the flow
no,
that you're having, but it is 1:30 p.m. EST here, and we need to close, sadly. But everybody, I encourage you to follow Syntyché. Go to her website, syntyche.com. We're going to send a list of resources, meditations, books that Syntyché would have, shared with us. And of course, the website and the code. I think that we all needed this so much. And it was very hard for us to jump in and say, hey, it's time, because it was so necessary. I think we all needed to start on that note this year, through healing, collective healing, understanding our spiritual capacity, how to engage in this work from a place of love, a place of freedom, a place of liberation, as you guided us, Syntyché, in this amazing meditation. We are so grateful for you. So grateful for Jenny and Jan. Thank you so much for interpreting this class for us. There were lots of curse words, and I definitely told Syntyché, please do talk as though you were talking to me, so you can flow and you can be in your element. And so we were laughing about all that. So thank you so much, Jen and Jenny. And thank you, Syntyché, most of all. And thank you for the team at Slow Factory. Very quickly, to keep Open EDU alive, we really encourage you to donate. If you can, go to slowfactory.earth, make a donation. A monthly donation would go a long way. Putting this together takes a lot of resources, and we really need your support, our community. And if you have
absolutely.
donated, thank you for donating. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. Please share the work with your community, post it on social media, share it by email. Fundraising is really, really hard behind the scenes, and everyone is welcome to join forces with us. There isn't a small amount. Any amount counts. It builds up, and it allows us to do what we are doing. So thank you so much, everybody. We know we are powered by the community, and we are a public service, and we are so grateful for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on that note, have a great end of day. Happy Friday. I can't wait to celebrate with you tonight, Synty, to celebrate Ivana and Anita and everybody, Nidia in our community. Thank you so much. And I hope you are so filled with love and proud, because what you've allowed us this year is to kick off on the right track. So we're so grateful for you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Join us on Slack to continue the conversation. And thank you all so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.